Welcome to ThriverTV's Halloween special, and I'm Maleficent Melanie, and this is Terrible Tiggy. And I really wanted to explore the darker side of things for this Halloween special. So we're going to be talking about what is evil and is the narcissist evil. And I want you to bear with me with this episode because I'm going to go around in a circle. I want to explore light and dark and concepts that go deeply into quantum realities so that we can understand energy and how it plays out. And also too, there may be some things in this episode that you don't agree with, and that's fine. But I want you to bear with me because I promise you that I am going to get to the answer. I really am. So in regard to that question with narcissists, we all know that feeling of ice in our veins and the horrible disbelief we feel and the dread and unspeakable trauma when we're connected to a narcissist. We know that it feels intensely evil. It also feels like a creepy psychic phenomenon, not unlike the Dementors in Harry Potter, who can literally suck your soul and your life force from you. Is this undeniable energetic force that's going on, is it evil? All right, so from the get-go, as I briefly mentioned, this ThriverTV episode is going to be controversial. And in fact, I expect a flurry of people's posts on Facebook and YouTube. And you may even want to email MTE disagreeing with what I'm about to share. And that's okay. Because please know, I am simply sharing my beliefs with you. And there's no necessity for you to follow my work and agree with everything that I believe. As always, you're free to take what resonates with you and totally dismiss what doesn't. It's healthy, human, evolved, and mature to agree to disagree and still love and respect each other regardless. Different theological views are not abusive or overstepping boundaries, I don't believe. And I have a gorgeous friend one of my best friends, and she's Christian. And what I love is that as a spiritualist, her and I can have conversations and we don't ever get into a battle over differing views. And, you know, as a Christian, she has deep, close friends that are gay or are, you know, mothers out of wedlock, and even atheists. So the religion is love. And I think when the religion is love, we have an open mind and we will listen to different theologies. And that's what's been one of the biggest problems, I believe, on this planet, is that we haven't done this. The inability to do that is why we've been submerged into so much trauma and disaster throughout the human experience. Because we've not understood that we can disagree and still respect each other and live happily. Rather, we've murdered each other over differing views and then declared that as holy. Okay, so to get started on the question, are narcissists evil? I feel I need to reach into the quantum vault of what I feel and know and where the channel goes for me on this one. What I truly believe is that there is one energy, life force, creation, call it God if you like, and it embraces all of it, light and dark, just as summer is summer and winter is winter, and day and night and natural cycles of all of it. So in regard to states and manners of being, what we know as light, I believe, is connection. It's oneness. It's the energy of love, flow, growth, truth, consciousness. And what we know as dark, that state of feeling dark, is the energy of disconnection. It's the experience of being separated, stuck in the dark, not at that moment experiencing the consciousness of what really is, which is that everything is interconnected and that there's only one life force, which is creation. Darkness is the experience of trauma, disconnection from self, life, and others. Yet even that process, I believe, is part of all of it and all that is. It's still connected and weaved within all of it. And that process brings an emptiness, which ironically feels like a black, dark hole inside when we're experiencing disconnection. And then there's the panic to try to fill that hole in order to try to feel whole. In that state, we don't feel lovable, worthy, or loved, and we feel like something is terribly missing. And when we're trauma-free enough to feel and know our state of true interconnectedness to all things, and that we are loved and adored by all of creation simply because we exist, because we are a part of creation itself, we feel lovable, worthy, and loved. We feel that everything is perfect and everything is in divine order, just as it is. We feel like we're home. Neil Donald Walsh, in Conversations with God, brought this idea forth. The saying to somebody who hurts others, "What hurts you so much that you wish to hurt me?" In stark contrast, when we're connected and living the experience that we know as light, we feel at one with ourselves. We feel love and joy as our organic state. And that's how we relate to life and others. We don't feel like we need to change anyone to be who we're being. We're simply being it. At the quantum level, everything in our seen world originated from the unseen world first. Every creation is an outer expression of an emotional idea and impulse first. The spark, if you like, generating a gestation that leads to the ultimate birth of something. I believe that everything is energy, including dark and light, and they're both powerful forces. In fact, we mine our greatest growth, our greatest light from our darkness. History has proved over and over again that the most incredible reforms, breakthroughs, and inspirations have come from difficult times. And when the struggle on a personal or collective level is harnessed into inspiration and creation, the energy that was once trapped in the darkness explodes forth into light, meaning positive growth and expansion. That's what alchemy and transformation are all about. Without the darkness, it is impossible in this dimensional reality. I also believe humbly that we all have a dark side. I adore the Ho'oponopono. That's really hard to, I hope I've said that right, the Ho'oponopono philosophy, which is the Hawaiian philosophy, and you may be familiar with it, that there is nothing in our experience that we can view unless there is a part of us that is capable of that act. And this is why the Ho'oponopono has the prayer of the most radical 100% personal responsibility I've ever heard of. It goes like this. If you see something that you would like to be different, including atrocities and acts that may be classified as evil, you can say, "I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you," meaning I am responsible for this. And if I heal me regarding this, I can heal this thing itself, which means I'm acting through the quantum law of interconnectedness, so within, so without, and to heal anything, I can only heal me. Now, before you get understandably indignant and jump up and down and are horrified by that concept, please understand that on the quantum level, we are all connected. It means I'm you and you are me, and we're all at the subatomic level, the wavelength level, the one form. When we understand the quantum level of life, we start accepting so within, so without. And what that means is anything to be in my experience on a level that impacts me, there is a part of me that has been capable of committing it. I don't mean now, even though in some cases that may be true, but what I mean is in the past. Maybe cellularly, this means that we've inherited epigenetically the DNA of an ancestor who is a perpetrator. Or maybe in past lives, due to extreme trauma ourselves, we did unspeakable acts, even including kill or be killed, to protect ourselves or our clans. maybe we too did whatever it took to survive in a dog-eat-dog world of brutality. I know in my personal healing work from narcissistic abuse, the things that stuck in my claw that I obsessed about the most that he did were in fact the things that I'd perpetrated myself in the past and were still in my energetic field that were a match for the narcissist. When I cleared the trauma of who I'd been and what I'd done, the traumas of obsessing about what had happened to me, the belief that I'd been struck down by evil melted away. And I deeply understood that rather than the narcissist being evil, that we're all capable of so-called evil acts when we're filled with trauma. The truth is, at the quantum level, there is only one person in the room. Who'd I really be mad at for being capable of acting like that? The deep and true answer is myself. This ThriverTV episode is already controversial, but I'm going to turn it up another notch. Because not only am I saying that as human beings we all contain darkness, I'm also going to say I don't believe in evil. I believe in trauma and disconnection from self, life and creation, God, or whatever your understanding of a higher power is, but I don't believe in evil. I believe that there are terrible acts that look like evil, but for me, evil itself does not exist. Once upon a time, I totally believed in evil, and I found it a terrible way to live. It actually didn't serve me, because I found it crippling to live in a world that represented evil things and people everywhere I looked and went. Okay, so this is a part of what I believe, and it may shock some people. I don't believe that Satan exists. I believe creation, God and love exists, but I don't believe Satan and evil exists. I do, however, believe light and dark exists, and oneness and separation exists. And much of humanity has not lived the experience of who we really are organically, which is a child of creation and higher consciousness and love and oneness. This has happened as a result of accumulated human trauma that unfortunately has been the hallmark of our extremely unevolved planet, steeped in ego, edging God out. And because we've been disconnected from the truth of oneness with incredible, ungodly acts of vengeance, brutality, and war, hurt people. I believe that the notion of Satan is what the deep Greek philosophy know thyself called Pan, which is the figure of half man, half goat. Pan was known as the scapegoat. Blaming it on Satan is saying an outside force made me or others do this. It must be the devil. Rather than the darkness of the trauma within me that is responsible for this. The trauma that I have never released and healed yet. I believe also, rather than being soiled and carnal, we are in fact, without our trauma, the expression of God, creation and source that we really are. We're worthy, we're loving, and we're light. And certainly this is our experience when we start releasing trauma. We come back into the fold of oneness and the truth, and we start to understand how life and its interconnectedness is. To believe in evil, I believe that I would need to believe in Satan, and I would also need to believe in the only way we should deal with evil people, which is to send them to hell. Even as a young child, I never understood the damnation of eternal hell. I couldn't fathom something so final, which could be based on certain conditions without any recourse at all. It never resonated with me. I actually don't believe that hell is a place. I believe it's a state. No matter where we are, if we're living the experience of being in the darkness, clogged up with trauma and feeling separated from ourselves, life and others, we're in hell. We're hurting. We hold others responsible for our hurt, and we're capable of hurting others. where the narcissist can appear as malignantly evil is the lack of turning back to the light. The never reaching inwards to love themselves wounds at all, self-partner and heal. The level of trauma and unconsciousness within the narcissist is so extreme that he or she has completely divorced the true self, which is the only connection to oneness creation and one's higher power and others. It's the only way to have true connection. And the narcissist is instead operating through a false self, an ego run amok, which believes it's its own lone wolf god. The narcissist is always disconnected from life, creation, oneness and others, and trying to get things and stuff to take away that agony. But this is the thing. If this was evil, does this mean the narcissist is going to hell? I don't believe so. And the real reason I say this, apart from everything else I've shared with you in this episode, is because I had a life between lives regression experience, which is a deep hypnosis where you get to experience yourself as a soul energy back home before physical incarnations in a deeply regressive state. Some of you may have heard of Dr. Michael Newton's work, and I really urge you to have an open mind if you're interested, no matter what your beliefs are, to check him and his work out. There's lots of research about it. And I know that there are people in the community who've had a life between lives experience, and I recommend it. It's truly life-changing. So when having a soul experience in an LBL, there are things you just deeply know. Your consciousness is operating at that level of oneness and interconnectedness to all things. And you can opt to find out the real quantum truth about other souls as well as your own. And what I discovered about narcissists as souls is when they've reached the point of no return, meaning that there's no more evolution possible for that soul back to the light because it's been so corrupted by the dark entity that the false self is, that the soul would be reabsorbed back to oneness, which is higher consciousness, which is God, which is love, and would come out again as a fresh soul, a new soul. So rather than being punished to eternal hell, the most damaged souls of all, the ones that need love the most, receive it. They go back home to dissolve into pure love, God if you like, to start as love all over again. And I can't tell you, when I saw that process happening in my LBL to those souls, I was viewing it and I felt the deep truth of it, how happy it was. Because I knew even the most evil of souls originally came from the oneness. It came from the light. And it's going back home to that. So to answer that original question, do I believe that narcissists are evil? No, I don't. I believe that they're separated. I believe that they are completely riddled with trauma and they're acting that out. But I don't believe that they're evil. And I believe that all of us are going home, regardless of whether we're operating in disconnection or oneness, because that oneness is so big, we can't miss it. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So I hope that that's made sense and that you've stuck it out this long. And I'd love you, if you feel that you are really reaching towards that light and coming into a soul truth, which is about releasing your trauma, I'd love you to connect to my free resources and become a part of the Thriver community, because that's what we do. And I'd love to hear your comments and questions about this controversial topic that I've spoken to you about tonight. So enjoy Halloween. Terrible Tiggy and I might go out trick-and-treating. That would be really quite fun. I'm just going to go scare the next door neighbour through his window with this. I think that would be hilarious. And until the next ThriverTV episode, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there's nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.